What's up, guys? So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the DNT NVMD C-200. It's a digital night vision device. DNT shot me an email, reached out, said, hey, would you like to test out our digital night vision device? And I said, absolutely. So we're just going to take a look. So disclosure, they sent this out for free for me to take a look at and obviously do a little overview video on this guy. And I've had this for about a week now. And I've been able to kind of do a little bit of testing, do some recording with it, and just kind of give my thoughts and opinions on this guy. So they sent me the kit that comes with the night vision device, as well as an IR flashlight. This is the QT IR 940, and it's got the Surefire end cap. So if you have a Surefire, like a UE07 or something like that, you can plug it into the back of here and control this light. So we'll be talking a little bit about the device and then a little about the light, and then it comes with two different mounts, at least this kit did. So, and a disclaimer for the manual YouTube reviewer, this is what I used to film everything. I was not using anything real. I was just using this. So what exactly is this thing? This is not an analog night vision device. This is a digital night vision device. It's basically a camera with a super sensitive sensor in it to low light, so probably bigger pixels. They can gather more light. And then this also has the IR filter. Removed on a standard camera, you have an IR filter that you don't see infrared light. This one has that removed, so you can see IR light in it. So basically, that's kind of like the heart of this. And then they've added just some features on top of it. So you have scope mode. So you have a reticle that's on there, and you can change the reticle to different types of reticles, whatever you want. It has different colors. You can pick the colors that you want for the scope mode. In magnifier mode, you have the ability to kind of get rid of the reticle, and then it functions as like a magnifier. So kind of similar idea as to like a G33 magnifier. So the only difference is the refresh rate on this is 50 hertz. So obviously with, an analog magnifier, obviously you basically have infinite refresh rate. This has 50. So if you're into gaming at all, you kind of have a better feel for what 50 hertz feels like, basically 50 frames per second. So for me personally, I wouldn't replace a magnifier with this setup, but where this thing kind of shines is in the low light scenario. So I could see putting this on a rifle when it's getting darker, you can't see as well, and you kind of want that magnifier setup. That's kind of how I would use this if you don't have nods. You could use this to kind of spot and see things a little bit better at night. So the screen in here, the resolution is 1920 by 1080, and in a small screen like that, it looks really nice and crisp. And then the actual screen is micro OLED, which is great to see in something like this. And then, like I said, the refresh rate is 50 hertz. Now, I believe it's going to be 50 hertz when this thing has the proper amount of light. So under IR with this flashlight, you're going to get that full 50 hertz. If you don't, you definitely can notice a difference where I believe the shutter speed will slow down, and basically the refresh rate will also slow down, and it will be a little bit laggier. You can still see, but this thing definitely needs the light to function at its full smooth refresh rate, but you can see things that you can't see with your eye. So it's kind of a trade-off. And so what's also cool is at nighttime, you have a couple different color modes. You can use the full color mode. You can use the black and white. You can use the green phosphor, and then you also have the white phosphor. I personally like the white phosphor. I just like the way that looks, and it looks the most pleasing to me, but you can kind of pick what you like the look of best. All right, so we'll talk about the actual onboard recording. So this has a 32 gig built-in memory in this thing, And what's pretty neat is to get the footage off, you either unscrew this cap here, and you have a USB-C plug on the side here. You plug it right in the computer, pops up like any other camera would, pull the footage off. They also have a Wi-Fi app, which is pretty cool. So basically you just download their app and then you can live view what's happening on the screen, which is kind of cool. So you can just live preview what's going on with it, and then you can also pull footage off of it. So the actual specs of the recording, so obviously it records 1920 by 1080, and then the bit rate's around 12,000. Nothing insane or anything like that, but I don't necessarily think you need that crazy bit rate, especially when you're in the the white phosphor mode, all those kind of modes. But I will say the audio is terrible. It's pretty much unusable. Obviously I like really good audio, so that's just my personal preference. I can't even really tell that there's lights on over there. Can barely tell that those are lights, and man, they're bright. And then one thing I will say is I believe when it's recording, the video has a variable frame rate. So like I was saying before, depending on the lighting conditions, it will change the frame rate of the video. And if you're editing in DaVinci Resolve or Premiere, that's going to be an issue because those programs don't handle that variable refresh rate. So if you're used to like editing on your phone or things like that, it's probably going to be okay. But if you're using those programs, you do have to convert them. So that's just one downside. Like when I was recording this video, I had to basically record everything and then reconvert everything to be able to edit it in my program. So that's just, I think, just something like I was saying that it has to do to get the proper amount of light to the sensor. So when you're in scope mode and then when you're magnifier mode, you have the little mode dial on the top here, and this allows you to zoom in. So you can do 1 through 6x, which is pretty cool. So when you're in scope mode, it'll zoom in, and then the reticle will get bigger as you zoom in, kind of like a first focal plane optic, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so you can change that. Then you can also change it if you, let's say you want to do 1x to 5x or 1x to 3x or 1x to 6x just by doing it once instead of doing 1x, 2x, 3x, 5x, 6x, going through them all. It is kind of nice that you can kind of just set it to whatever range you want, which is pretty neat. Menu system's really simple. So the buttons on the top here, you have your power button, you push and hold to turn it on, and then this is your record button for the camera. And then this is your mode dial. Push and hold this to bring the menu up. And then you use this dial to, go through the menu and click once to enter it in. And then to back out, you just push and hold it. And then to back out again, push and hold it. So, and then it also has different brightness modes. So you can go, I think 1 through 6, and that just changes the brightness of the actual screen itself. It does have like a diopter here, or focus basically for the lens here, whether you're close or far away. And then this one is also a kind of similar idea. So when you're in clip-on mode, you kind of have to get this guy set up right. So it comes with 2 different mounts. It comes with this QD style mount, so it just doesn't go anywhere. It just clips on, and then you just click it on. They sent me their upgraded one that's a flip to the side, which is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and quick attach that onto there, and then you have it like this, and then you can also just flick it to the side like that. So you can use your standard optic, and then when you want to use it as magnifier, you flick it forward like that, just pretty much exactly how my G33 works. Yeah, so in this is probably my favorite mode to use this scope in. I think it makes the most sense as far as like needing to see at night a little bit better than not being able to. This is probably how I would use it the most. And another thing is they do have like an automatic setting in here where if you flip it to the side like this, it'll record this is what they call their action camera mode. If you flip it to the side, it will record a vertical style video just on the side of the rifle. So that's kind of this setup. I'll roll a video clip of kind of what this looks like. You could also, if you didn't have an eotech, you could take the eotech off and use this as a daytime scope. I don't think I'd want to. The only downside is it's a screen, so it's 50 hertz, and during the daytime it's fine, it's relatively smooth. but you're just going to be faster and better with, you know, just a standard red dot. But it is nice that, you know, in a pinch, you could use this as a scope, you know, with a reticle. So that is nice. Now for clip-on mode. So as you can see, I have a low power variable optic. This is the EP8, and you can put this in front of your optic to kind of give that night vision clip-on view out of this. So in the video here, the focus of the camera is real difficult to get a full picture of this, but they say, at least one of the rep guys was saying, like, basically it's like good up to like 4x. I was able to push it up to 6 and still be able to see, but it kind of gets fuzzy, you know, because you are basically zooming into, you know, a 1920 by 1080 screen. And yeah, so it's kind of neat. It definitely gives you, it's nice to have your own reticle, you got your own scope and scope reticle, a low power variable optic scope, and then you basically make it a more of like a night vision setup too. And then you can also, you know, flip this thing to the side if you don't want to use it. But yeah, this setup is pretty cool. I do like that. I tried it with my Elcan and it worked okay. The 4X and I think maybe the way the Elcan is designed, it's not the greatest setup, but as a clip-on magnifier setup, I believe it really only works with these low power variable optics. I tried it on my Mark 13. I have like I think it's a 5-25, and I could not get it to focus or function properly. So it's probably only these lower power variable optic scopes that don't zoom that crazy. So another use case for this, I would say, is just using it as just a, you know, handheld device to just kind of get a better idea of kind of your surroundings. So I could see, you know, carrying this in a truck, or just having this on you, being able to see just a little bit better at night with this guy. As far as the build quality, it's fantastic. I mean, this thing feels very premium. It's heavy, and the mount is very nice. Nice click, nice positive clicks when it's going in and out of that mode, and just feels like a nice quality unit. In person, this thing looks way better than I think it does even on video. It definitely looks clearer than in the recording, and then when I put the camera kind of behind it. But this thing's cool. It works with your red dot at night. On my EXPS 2-0, I was able to get the reticle dim enough still and still not have it blown out, which was really nice. At night, the refresh rate is decent for the price. You know, I'd like to see something like, you know, maybe 90 hertz, something like that, where you kind of get rid of that perceived lag, but it's decent. The battery compartment, so it's one of those bigger long batteries. They're rechargeable. So the kit I got has 3 batteries, and then it's got the charger. So one for the device and then one for the flashlight. So we'll talk a little bit about the IR light. So great quality. It's got the little QD mount on it, which I like a lot. And apparently this head here is the same as the dual fuel heads on the Surefires. And I think it's just a Scout body and then the Surefire end cap. So the only downside I would say to this is the fact that it's IR only. So it doesn't have a dual head, so it doesn't have white light and IR. It's just IR. I think if they make a new version of this with a different head on here that's white light and IR, I think that's the ticket, because, you know, like on my Mark 18, I'd have to have this light, my white light, and then I have a laser on top of that. You know, you're starting to, you know, put a lot of junk on your rifle. So that's just the one thing I would say about this light. It's a great light, nice and bright. It's more of like a flood light, so it kind of floods the whole area. It doesn't have like a hot spot in the middle, just more of a floodlight, just to kind of bring up the light level for the camera to see. But so overall, I like this thing. I mean, obviously they gave it to me for free, so, you know, take that into consideration. But yeah, definitely was pretty blown away. So this is my first time experiencing digital night vision. I've never experienced analog night vision before, so take that into consideration. I've only used the, you know, super cheap, you know, super low res, like, you know, 10 FPS type, you know, night vision things that basically only work unless you have an IR light. This thing definitely works without any IR light, just the ambient light that you have outside. But yeah, so overall, really cool. It's a nice thing, I think, to have in the kit. and just adding more capability for yourself. Yeah, so anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give the video a thumbs up. Definitely a little bit different than what we've done in the past, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.